In this lecture, we will discuss the brachial plexus injury, and the most common is the Erb's palsy. Erb's palsy or Erb Duchenne palsy. Palsy means weakness or paralysis is a paralysis of the arm caused by the injury to the brachial plexus. If any of the cause can injure the brachial plexus, especially the upper brachial plexus. Upper brachial plexus called Erb's palsy. C5 and C6 brachial plexus injury cause Erb's palsy, especially the upper brachial plexus. It is the most common birth-related neuropraxia. It is the nerve root injury. It is the lesion of C5-C6 nerve root, usually produced by the widening of the head-shoulder interval. It can In some cases, it can also involve C7, but it is mostly involve the C5 and C6. C5, C6 also called upper brachial plexus. This you can see C5 and the C6. The injury to the C5 and C6 are if there is a stretch the muscles, it can cause brachial plexus injury. The therapy will focused on promoting nerve recovery because the nerve are stretched, so we need to promote nerve recovery, preventing joint contracture should be prevented, maintaining range of motion in the upper extremity and the neck. Maintaining range of motion prevent joint contractures, and the recovery of the nerve root is our therapy goal. Improving the strength, addressing alignment and postural control, facilitating development of efficient and functional motor patterns. These are our goals. Therapeutic intervention we do in the Erb's palsy is the range of motion exercises and stretching, passive and active range of motion in gravity eliminated positions to promote more range of motion, as well as anti-gravity position to increase the strength of the muscles. These we can do passive and active range of motion in gravity eliminated positions. Moving the child through their typical developmental sequence allow the child to develop the shoulder girdle joint and improve the overall symmetry of the joint. It is important to stretch the child multiple times throughout the day to improve the child condition. Play, and even when they are napping, when a child is relaxed, you can gain more range of motion and keep their muscle loose, so that when they gain active motion, the opposing muscle are not pulling them back. This is very important. When the child is relaxed, you can go for improving his range of motion, because when he is relaxed, you can easily do its range of motion exercises. Range of motion exercises including are shoulder flexion. Simply you can go for shoulder flexion, shoulder abduction. Shoulder abduction movement is this: shoulder external and internal rotation, shoulder flexion, elbow flexion and extension. All the upper extremity exercises you can do: shoulder abduction, shoulder external, internal rotation, elbow flexion and extension, forearm pronation, supination. All the anatomical range of motions, all the movements of the upper extremity you can do: wrist extension and flexion, finger extension, and we can use splinting. Static and dynamic splinting of the arm is used to reduce the contractures, prevent the deformity, and assist in the movement. Commonly prescribed splints include resting hand and wrist splints, elbow extension splints, dynamic elbow flexion, and supinator splint. These are all the upper limb splints we can use depending on the deformity. Careful selection and timing of this splint is essential to optimization of the desired effect. Tapping techniques may be used by the therapist to control the scapular instability and promote shoulder mobility. Joint compression and weight bearing to facilitate the muscle contraction. We can use exercises such as weight bearing activities with the affected arm in all the positions. Not only provide necessary proprioceptive means joint positioning input, but also can contribute to the skeleton growth, because this is in the infants. So we go for weight bearing activities of the affected arm so that the skeleton growth don't compromise. Sensory awareness activities, use of infant massage and drawing visual attention to the affected arm can be incorporated easily into playing and daily activities. It means use of the affected arm in the daily activities so that the sensory awareness stimulate. We can also go for age appropriate developmental activities depending on the age of the child. As the child get older, standard strengthening exercises are used and specific functional skills can introduced in him. Specific muscle groups can be targeted for strengthening to functional movements. It's very important. Compensatory and substitute movement should be avoided. Always remember, the child not go for compensatory and substitute movement, as they may perpetuate weak muscles and deformity. So no go for that. Instructing parents and family in a home exercise program is very effective for the brachial plexus injury in older child with persistent disability. If there is no improvement, the focus on home instruction shift to independent with these parent learning self stretching and strengthening exercises as well as strategies for achieving independence in activities of daily living. The main goal of any physiotherapy disease or disorder is to independent in the specific activities of daily living. In this lecture we will discuss the brachial plexus injury that is most common is Erb's palsy. It's of upper trunk injury C5 C6, and in this condition we can go for stretching all the range of motion exercises of the upper extremity and bring the child to the independent activity of the daily living. So this is the question that you can ask, then you can tell its answer. Is range of motion exercises best in Erb's palsy? Tell me the answer. Thank you.